Everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spooky Things with Debbie. We've got a special show tonight. I'm on a different night than I'm normally on because this is a special show that we're having. Because we have a really, really fascinating guest tonight.
Thank you.
You might not recognize it. Of course. Now, you might not recognize him the way he sits right now, but if he put on something special, you would recognize him immediately. I'd like everybody to meet Mr. Tony Moran, and he played Michael Myers. And
nice to see all you guys, and thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you for coming. Are you kidding? So we've got lots to talk about. We've got a lot of people that are very, very, very interested in you. Now,
okay.
Mr.
Cool.
Moran is going to be, Mr. Moran is going to be coming to our Paracomic-Con.
It's Moran, not Moran. It's Moran.
Moran. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Moran is going to be coming to the Paracomic-Con on August the 8th and the 9th. So you guys make it a point to get there. There's photo ops, there's autographs. You can sit there and talk to him. And just, you can't ask for more than that. I mean, come on. So that's DeepSouthParaComicCon.com, August 9th and 10th at the Ozark Civic Center in Ozark, Alabama.
Oh, there's an Ozark in Alabama too, huh? There's an Ozark in Alabama also. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
You ever see the TV show Ozark?
Ozark, Arkansas.
Missouri. No, Missouri. No, not Missouri. Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever see the series with Jason Bateman called Ozarks?
No.
Oh, it was on Netflix. Just phenomenal series. Limited series, phenomenal.
Now I gotta watch it.
Yep.
And the only reason I even know that it's an Ozark because the band Black Oak, Arkansas. Do you remember that band? Black Oak, Arkansas?
No, I don't.
They were good. You're the ones that used to sing the song Black Water, Oh Black Water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's Black Oak, Arkansas. Candace, I've drank the Ozark water. All right, Candace, is that good or bad?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We need to know, especially before we go back. Georgianne Foner, she says hello.
Hello. Excuse me, I had forgotten about the podcast, and I made myself dinner. I made myself steak tacos, guys. So I'm eating while we do this.
And I'm eating candy. So we don't know about you guys, but we're just laid back here doing our thing.
Cool.
Keep up with us. Cool. All right. So, Tony, tell us, how did this get started with Mike Myers. I mean, that's a big role.
Yeah, Michael Myers. Yeah, it's kind of a funny story, kind of crazy story. You know, I was a natural born athlete. You have to start here. I was a natural born athlete, and I was getting scouted by the California Angels for baseball. Yeah, I was really very good at it, and I played football, varsity football, my senior year. And the last game of the season and the kickoff, I tore my knee up.
Oh.
So I went lower in the draft, the scouting and all that, and I went, well, I still have a lot of speed, but not world class speed for like a shortstop or a second baseman, and that was my specialty. So I didn't pursue that anymore because there was no reason to. So when I was 9 and my little sister was 5 years old, you know who my little sister is, right?
Aaron?
Yeah. Well, her and I did a commercial together as brother and sister. And it played during the first time that How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the cartoon, was aired on TV.
Oh, cool.
And it only played once, and it was like a 30-second commercial, maybe 60-second commercial, I don't know. But anyways, this director was a high-end, commercial director. He spent a lot of money on all his commercials. He was known for that. A big budget guy, right? He flew us to I think it was 3 different states to just get one shot of her and I tobogganing down a hill in snow. 3 different states. 3 different states. So Aaron was only 5 years old. Now he's 9. I'm like, after it was done, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this crap anymore. I'm not doing this. This is no fun at all. And they didn't give us good enough clothing. We were freezing. I'd have to pick up my little sister and run up the hill to the cat, get warm again. Anyways, every year, and my little sister and I got discovered at a Christmas party that my parents had, and an agent happened to go that specialized in kids, and he said, you know what, these 2 of your kids out of the 5 would be excellent. And so that's how that started, but I didn't like it, so I got out. And so she kept going. She was too young, to know the difference. And so every year this agent, at least once a year, would say, hey, you want to get back into acting? I think you'd be really good. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do this crap, So with my tail between my legs when I was like 19 and a half, I really had no future. None. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I called her up and I said, you know what, maybe I'll give this stuff a try, And she said, okay, well, come on in and I want you to read a scene with me to see where you're at, and I said, okay. And she said, well, you know what, you should go to this workshop. It's run by a lady named Maria Gabbetti. And it was a workshop. It wasn't like a like a learning studio. It was a learning studio, but more of a workshop. And so I did. And about a year and a half later, my agent calls me up and she goes, I'm really in Hollywood, you can't get a part unless you have a SAG card. You can't get a SAG card unless you get a part. But now Halloween was an independent movie, so it didn't matter because it has nothing to do with SAG and AFTRA. It's independent. So the studios have nothing to do with it. It's all done on location, independent film. So she said, I got this film for you. I got this, not for you, but she goes, I got this film. And she goes, I don't know. You play some psycho. That's all I know. And it's a horror movie. And it's called Halloween. And Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. And I said, okay. I said, well, who the hell is Jamie Lee Curtis? She was a year younger than me. She was only 20 years old. She explained it was Janet Leigh's and Tony Curtis's daughter. I'm like, yeah, I could care less. I came from Happy Days. I mean, I didn't care. And see, back then, the deal was if you did a horror movie, it's not like now, not like it is today. Back then, directors and producers kind of looked down on you and thought you sold out if you did a horror movie. Because it was it's a running joke, that if you want to see TNA, you watch porn or you watch horror movies.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I told her no, I wasn't interested. And I said to her, I said, and by the way, how stupid can you be calling a horror movie Halloween? It's just so stupid. I've never heard of anything so corny in all my life. And she said, well, wait. The director is like this up and coming director. He already directed a film called Assault on Precinct 13, and he's really good, and he's supposed to be really an up and coming type guy. And I said, no, I'm not, I don't want to do it. And look I was broke as a joke. I was sleeping on a couch. I needed the money, which wasn't much, believe me. We all got paid dirt. But I still said no. And she said, well, wait a minute. She goes, Donald Pleasance is in this movie. And I said to her, because I was a big fan of Donald Pleasance. I mean, huge, ever since The Great Escape, the movie The Great Escape. So I said to her, why would you say that to me, Mary? Because she swore like a truck driver. So did I. I don't know if you accept swear words on here or not, but anyways, so I said, well, I don't effing care. I'm not doing this movie, and I don't believe you. Why would Donald Pleasance be doing this movie? That just makes no sense at all. He's a classic British actor. She says, I don't know. I promise you, though, he's in the movie, and he signed the contract. And I go, you got to be kidding me. She said, no. I go, he's in this movie? And I go, okay. And I go, well, so now I was thinking, well, if I do a movie and I got a credit with Donald Pleasance, at least I got that. If I don't get the movie, I don't care. Because nobody's going to see this movie anyways, right? I figured a week or two in the drive-in and nobody's going to see it. And plus, all I knew was I had to play a psycho. That's all she said. That's all she knew. I don't know. You play some psycho. She didn't have a script or anything. So, and I had asked her. I said, so now what do I do in this? She goes, I don't know. You play a psycho. I don't know. I said, okay. I said, all right. And I'm a pretty wild guy still, but I was really wild back then too. So, and really dumb as can be. I mean, just dumb as can be, and which I'm going to get to, and I'll explain why I say that. So, because I'm the most blessed person walking the earth because I got that part, and I just didn't know it at the time, Anyways, so she goes, I don't know, you play some psycho. I go, okay, whatever, I go, well, when's the interview? She says it's on Friday, and this was on a Wednesday morning when she called me. And the interview was 2 days later on a Friday morning at 8:30 in the morning in the ghetto part of Hollywood, and all that. And you probably remember I had to use a Thomas guide to figure out where I had to go and all that. And it was off an alleyway up in an office above somebody else. And it was just, temporary thing. And it was just ghetto, And so I went, and I said, I thought to myself when she told me, I don't know, you play some psycho. I said, okay, well, I'll give him psycho. So I didn't sleep for 2 days, and I didn't shave, and I didn't shower, and I wore some dirty-ass clothes and stuff, and I was really cranky when I went on the interview. So I go there, and I open up, I knock on the door, and I go, come on in, and I open up the door, and there's a guy to the right who's wearing really nice, clothing, and it's Erwin Yablans, the producer. And then to the left is a couch. It's just one room. And there's a guy sitting on the couch with a T-shirt and jeans on with long hair. So Erwin Yablans introduces himself to me and all that. And he goes, yeah, it's so great you're here. We're really happy you're here and all that. And then he goes, and that's my director right there, John Carpenter. And I go, oh, okay. And I walked over, and he walked over to me. We met each other in the middle of the room. We shook hands. And I go, nice to meet you. And he goes, nice to meet you. And they just talked to me for like another 5 to 7 minutes, but they didn't tell me shit about the movie. Nothing. They didn't tell me anything. Nothing. So now, as a side note, I don't know if this is true, but I can imagine it is. But I know part of this is definitely true. part of it I don't know, and I'll tell you which was. So all the top horror guys, the 3 or 4 top horror guys, turned the movie down. And the original name of the movie was The Babysitter Killer. And they had to change it because it's just too graphic. You know what I mean? It's not good. So they changed it to Halloween. Now, what I heard was Donald Pleasance took the part because he was on like his 3rd divorce or something like that. He needed the alimony money. That's the only reason why he took the part. And he got paid really well. And he was the only one that had a trailer and everything, you know. And I remember doing this scene with him, and he kind of felt the way I felt. He was like, "Yeah, isn't this something that you and I doing this shit, huh?" And I'm like, he didn't say that out loud. He just looked at me, and I looked at him. I'm like, "Yeah, you know, gotta do what you gotta do to survive, you know." So anyway, so I go on. I'm backtrack now. I go to this house in Hollywood at 8:30. I get there at 8:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock, whatever it was. This is the first thing in the morning. And they told me who to ask for, and they already already signed the contract, and I already gave them my measurements for my costume or whatever. They wanted my measurements, and I didn't know what they wanted that for, but whatever. So they told me the chick I had to ask for, so I can't remember her name, Mary Sue, I don't know. So I knocked on the door, and they said, "Come in," you know, and it's the set, you know. So thank God, you know, I didn't interrupt anything, but it was everything was upstairs, anyways. So I said, "Yeah, my name is Tony Moran, and I'm here to play Michael Myers, and I'm supposed to ask for Sue or Mary for my costume and all that." And they go, "Oh my God, Tony, we're so happy you're here. Oh, we're so glad you're here. Oh my God, this is so great. We're so happy you're here. Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. Yeah, let me go get her." So she comes, and she goes, "Hi, Tony, how you doing? How's it going? Oh my God, we're so excited you're here." And she had the coveralls draped over her left arm, and she had the airborne army boots, you know, with the little eyelets in the back of the heel, so she could put her fingers through to hold them. And she had a mask and a jar of Vaseline. And she goes, after she was kissing my ass, she goes, "Here's your stuff." And I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it. Like I said, let me ask you something. I said, and I was trying to be calm, you know, because there was no such thing as a mask in it, you know. And I'm thinking really quickly. I'm like, I go. It was just color Sue. I don't know. I said, "Hey Sue, what's the mask for?" She goes, "Well, you have to wear that." And I said, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, you got to wear this in the movie." I said, "You got to be kidding me." She says, "No." I said, "I wear a mask," and I started to escalate. I started getting angry, you know, and frustrated. And I said, "I wear a mask in this movie?" She goes, "Yeah." And she says that I'm really upset. She goes, "Well, no. Don't worry, Tony. It's okay. At the end of the movie, Jamie's going to pull that mask off, and they're going to be able to see your face." I said, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me." Because all my agent knew is, I don't know, you play some psycho, you know? So I said, "Okay." I said, "All right." I said, "Well, what's the jar of Vaseline for?" Because now I think I'm really doing a porno, right? And she goes, "Oh, you got a lot of hair. You got to put that Vaseline in your hair because the mask is 100% latex, and when she pulls that off, if you don't have Vaseline in there, it's like Velcro, it'll tear your hair out." I said, "No kidding. No kidding." I said, "Well, this is just great. This is just great." You know?
It's not sounding good.
No, it wasn't sounding at all. So, but I was a professional. I did everything professionally. And again, I'm the most blessed guy walking the earth. I'm telling you. I've had this one guy that is a rep that he's trying to badmouth it because he has all the Halloween people, but he won't get me. I started him in the business and everything. Anyways, he's the big Halloween guy, and so anyways, so I do the part, you know, and And what he did, let me backtrack. This guy has edited some of my podcasts. That's why I didn't really want to do any more podcasts. He's edited so that I'm saying the exact opposite than what I'm saying. He always deletes that I say I'm the most blessed guy walking the earth. Because I am. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't luck. It wasn't good fortune. And I'm not even religious. I got blessed. You know what I mean? Like,
That was
boom, you're it, Tony.
There's no doubt.
I know. Yeah. Now, I still thought a week or two in the drive-in, and that'd be about it. Nobody's going to see it, you know. And I think my parents died without me even telling them I did the movie. And my little sister, Erin, she didn't know I did the movie until 2006 when we did Chiller together in New Jersey, at a horror convention. That's a funny story too. That's a funny story. So I'll say that so I don't forget. So what happened was, Erin was kind of dislocated from the family, you know, disassociated. And I don't blame her, because a few of the family members asked for money all the time from her. I didn't, but a few of them did. Anyways, this place is huge. Chiller's huge. It's got the whole hotel, and then they got a parking lot with 3 tents out in the back. And I was in one of these tents in the back, and my little sister happened to be in the tent with me. She didn't know anything, and neither did I. I didn't even know she was there. So, anyways, I'm really new at this horror convention stuff, and I got this line. I got a huge line. I'm like, God, you got to be kidding me, right? Because I still didn't really understand the impact that Halloween had on people. So because I got out of Hollywood in my mid-30s, I was just gone, dead. I didn't want anything to do with Hollywood anymore. So anyways, she sees me, I guess, and I'm talking to a fan and doing their autograph and talking, because I like to talk to my fans, because without them, I'm nobody, man. I love my fans. And I see her creeping up to my table, and she does this. She looks at me, not right in front of me. She's like 10 feet away. She looks at me, and she looks up and sees my banner, and then she looks at me, looks at the banner, and then she looks at me, and I went like this. Yeah, well, yeah. yeah, and me. And she couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. So, and the great thing about me is I can go anywhere and nobody knows who I am, which I love, except for horror conventions. Yeah. So anyways, I finished filming, and it was only a 21. I don't know if you know, but Halloween only took 21 days to film.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was only 21 days. And because John Carpenter is a genius, he didn't do more than 3 takes for any scene, ever.
Wow.
Because he didn't have any money. In fact, they ran out of money so quick that at the end, you know, when you do a movie, you score it with the music, and they had a guy, but they ran out of money. So they told the guy, "Sorry, we can't pay you." So John Carpenter instead, because his dad's a professional musician, John Carpenter's an amateur musician, he got on his keyboard for 3 days and came up with the theme music for Halloween. That's how brilliant this guy is. Millions of people have that ringtone. You know what I mean? So anyways, that we filmed in April, and in August, I'm in my apartment with my girlfriend, you know, and the girlfriend at the time, and I got this envelope, this small little envelope, you know, and it was I opened up. It's an invitation to go to the screening for the cast and crew of Halloween, and I just thought that was the funniest thing I ever heard. I thought nobody's going to see this movie, this piece of crap. Nobody's going to see it, right? And I never saw it until, well, I'll get to that in a second. So you know what I did with that invitation? Like the asshole that I am, threw it away. I threw it away. Yes, I did. And I didn't contact them or anything. I just was like, whatever, man. Nobody's going to see this movie. So then, at the end of the year, Halloween started getting kind of hot, you know, like popular kind of. And I'll never forget it. I was driving down Sunset Boulevard. It was like November, December. And you got to remember, there's no Blockbuster, there's no CDs, there's nothing. The only way you can see a movie twice if it was good enough to be in the theater for the next year, or for a long period of time, right? Otherwise, the movie's out. So, and this thing was getting really popular. So, and I'm driving down Sunset Boulevard because I was working in Hollywood as a waiter or bartender, whatever it was. And I'm going down Sunset Boulevard to get to the 405 freeway to get home. And I passed this really famous little town called Westwood. And that's where the UCLA college is. And I don't know if you ever saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you remember when she goes to the theater and she watches herself in her own movie?
Yes.
That's that town. It's a date night town. It's got the most beautiful theaters and little great restaurants. And that's where they filmed that scene. And I knew that scene, right?
Oh, okay.
And Sunset Boulevard is filled with billboards, right? And I'm going down Sunset Boulevard, and I look up, and right near Westwood, and I see a billboard of Halloween. A billboard. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "What? Are you out of your mind? You got to be kidding me!" Because there was no such thing as a horror movie with a mask and stuff, except for Chainsaw Massacre. So I get home and I go, guess, I said to my girlfriend, Kathy, I said, Kathy, guess what, man? I said, there's a billboard of this movie, Halloween, that I did on Sunset Boulevard. She goes, you got to be kidding me. And I said, no, she was an English chick, a model actress, right? So I thought, okay, whatever, So then the next year, that movie's playing everywhere. I mean, everywhere.
It was everywhere.
I couldn't believe it. And so I turned to her and I said, hey, have you noticed that this movie's playing all over the place? She goes, yeah. I said, you want to go see it? She goes, yeah, okay. Because I still don't know what the whole movie's about because they didn't tell me. I never got a script.
So you never got the premiere. You never went to the premiere of it.
Well, that too. That too. So, yeah, just a real a-hole. Just a real a-hole. You know what I mean? Just an idiot. Oh, no, I know. And, as a side note, they asked me to do Halloween 2, and I said no. Because I didn't want to wear a mask again. But fortunately, what they did with Halloween 2 is they said, okay, we'll tell you what. Can we use the footage of you in Halloween 1, put it in Halloween 2, we'll pay you and we'll give you the credit. And I'm like, well, yeah, it sounds good to me, So, because I was an actor, I'm not a stunt guy wearing a mask in a horror movie. So anyway, we go see the movie. And we're sitting in the back, and it's packed, and the movie starts, and it's going along, and people are screaming and yelling, run, get out of there, go, yeah, look out, all that stuff, right? And we get to about, I don't know, halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, and I turned to her and I said, this movie's not bad. She goes, yeah, it's pretty good. That's how I saw the movie.
Oh my God.
Now, granted, I just hate watching myself on film. I just do not like doing it. I just don't like doing it. And I avoid it at all costs. But it's still no excuse for me not to have gone to the premiere, But
it would have been good.
That's the kind of idiot I was back then when I was 21 years old. Yeah, I was taking myself so seriously in that workshop doing Shakespeare and a bunch of other stuff. And I was like, I'm not doing this, And here it is. It's the highest grossing horror film of all time. It's grossed over $1 billion. I know. Like, can you imagine what an idiot I am? Just an idiot. Just
I don't need to go to no stinking premiere.
Yeah, I know. What a joke I am. Yeah. So that's how it happened.
Wow.
So what? And then one more thing. So I'm filming a movie in Massachusetts, And the director goes, "Hey man, they're on AMC. They're going to show a documentary on Halloween. It's the first one." I go, "You kidding me?" He goes, "Nope." I go, "Cool." He goes, "You want to watch it?" I said, "Yeah, I want to watch it." So they do all this other stuff, on the documentary, and then they're interviewing John Carpenter. And now this is hilarious, okay? Hilarious. So they go to him and they say, they're sitting down. The interviewer says to John, he goes, "Well, why did you pick Tony Moran to be the face of Michael Myers?" And he goes, "Because I thought he had an angelic face." There's nothing angelic about me. Nothing. Zero. I'm not angelic. Anyways, I thought that was hilarious. He used that word. He used angelic. I couldn't believe it when it came out of his mouth. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This poor guy. Anyways, that's how it happened.
Well, but see, you wouldn't have been able to have related to that because you didn't go to the premiere to see the end of the movie.
That's exactly right. You see the movie, period. Well, I didn't get to see the movie at all.
Oh my God, that's funny.
It's hilarious. I know. So I had to cut the Vaseline out of my hair with apple cider vinegar. That was fun. Yeah. Real glamorous.
Did it come off that easily with all that Vaseline in it?
No, I had to do it 2 or 3 times, I think.
You ripped it off?
No. Yeah.
So it didn't even work.
Funny.
Oh my God.
But I did a lot of guest stars and feature roles on TV episodes, all the popular episodic TV series during the day. And by the time I got to my early 30s to mid 30s, I just had it with Hollywood. I just didn't want to deal with them anymore because they're so dirty. They're not nice people.
Yeah.
And
I've heard.
And I just went, "See you later," bye. And I went underground. You couldn't find me if you tried, But yet, here's what happened. I'm in the mortgage industry in 2005, and I had a good friend that worked with me as a salesman. His name was Guillermo. And we're talking at work, and he goes, "Hey, man, I was at this party over the weekend in Hollywood." And I go, "Oh, cool. How was it?" And he goes, "It was good. It's good." He goes, "This guy overheard me talking about you." And he goes, "Are you talking about Tony Moran, Tony Moran, Halloween Tony Moran?" And Guillermo goes, "Yeah, he's a friend of mine." He goes, "Man, we've been looking for that guy for 10 years or maybe longer." And Guillermo goes, "Yeah, okay." And he goes, "Can I have his number?" And Guillermo goes, "No, you can't." Because all my friends know, don't give my number out, And he goes, I'll take your number, and if he's interested, he'll call you." So I thought about it, and he wanted to interview me for this magazine called Horror Hound. And so I called him up the first time, and I said, I asked him a few questions, and I'm like, "God, this is really strange," because I had no idea that horror movies were such a cult. And the fans were so diehard. I just didn't know that. I didn't know. I just thought he was just this nerd, that came to interview me. And he came with Doc Marten boots on and shorts, with spiked hair. And, I was like, oh, my God, really, dude? So anyways, he interviewed me, and he goes, "Hey, man," he goes, "Would you mind walking me down to the garage? I had a few things I'd like for you to sign." And I said, "Sign? What do you mean sign?" He goes, "Your autograph on some posters and pictures and DVDs and stuff like that." I said, "Okay, sure, if you want it. Whatever, dude." I thought he was a nerd, and he is a nerd. He is a nerd. So anyways, I go down to his SUV and he opens up the back and he's got 11 items. And he's got to this day he's got one of those. He's one like probably the top in the top 10 largest Halloween collections of all. So I signed these things. Yeah, I signed all these things. And he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "You ever thought about doing a horror convention?" I said, "Horror or horror?" He goes, "Horror." I go, "Well, what's that?" I say, "What's that?" And he goes, "Well, there's these conventions all over America and in Europe where these conventions, they hire celebrities like you and they pay for your flight and the hotel and the per diem and you sign autographs all weekend long for money." I said, "You got to be kidding me. You're kidding me." And he goes, "No." Now, granted, it took me 3 times to get this far to let him come to my office to talk. I had to talk to him a total of 3 times. I want to make sure he wasn't some psycho, you know?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, you know, and so he set me up for this one convention in the San Fernando Valley, which was really bad. It turned out to be a disaster. O.J. Simpson happened to be there. And it was in a burnt out, abandoned strip mall. And I drove up with my stepdaughter, who was like 12 or 13 years old at the time, and I see this banner that says O.J. Simpson. I'm like, what? O.J. Simpson? You got to be kidding me. So you can imagine all the news outlets were there, right? And I said to Sean, I said, "Hey man, what's this with O.J. Simpson?" He goes, "Man, I didn't know that was going to happen either." I said, "Okay, Jesus." So he signed an autograph for footballs and pictures and all that. So later in the day or that weekend, I can't remember if it was the same day or not. It was a 2-day convention, or maybe it's 3 days. And Sean comes up and he goes, "Hey man, you know, the Inside Edition and all these other ones, they want to interview somebody to get their take on how they feel about O.J. Simpson being there." And he goes, "And nobody wants to do it." I said, "I do. I want to talk to him for sure." So he goes, "Oh," he starts laughing. He goes, "Okay." So I get on film. I used to have it on a VHS. I don't have it anymore. And the lady even asked me, she goes, "Do you think he killed them?" And I go, "Of course he did." I go, "If I would have known, I would not have come with my stepdaughter knowing that he was here."
Yeah. Yeah.
And they love that. They loved it, you know, the little interview I gave them. They just loved it because I didn't hold anything back. So then Sean Clark was trying to get me a rep, and nobody was kind of interested. And I said, "Well, you do these conventions. Why don't you rep me?" And that's how I got him in the industry. If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be so large in the industry about doing, you know, repping celebrities for conventions.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the story. That's how that happened. Crazy, huh?
That's crazy. That's funny.
I know.
I mean, of course, you know, hindsight. Now, you know, it's just like they say with everything. You know, when you look back on it all, you're like, but at the time you didn't know. You seriously didn't know. And,
no, good.
That's amazing how, like I said, that role was just iconic.
I know.
And it
will
live on for generations to come.
Yeah, but back then when they pulled out the mask and gave it to me, I was like, "You got to be kidding me! This is really schlocky," you know. But anyway, you know, and now, and it hasn't changed to this day. I swear, I just love my fans. I have the greatest time with them. You'll see when we do your convention. I just love them, and they love me. So.
Well,
anyway.
It's easy to see why. You're a lot of fun. You're a lot of fun.
I got a million stories. A million. Because I've always like, you know, gone on my own, you know, adventure.
I can understand, though, how kids would be completely like, no, I don't want to do that. It's boring. People seem to think that there's such mystery and allure, behind
Yeah.
doing that. It's very boring. It's
Yeah,
very
it's quite the
boring.
opposite. It's quite the
And
opposite. Yeah. Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
time consuming, and it's all a waiting game, and it can be really nerve wracking. It's like,
Right.
let me be done with this already, kind of a thing. But the end results, as
Crazy.
you know,
Crazy.
when it's magic, it's magic.
Yeah, crazy good.
That was
You know the opening
Yeah.
scene of Halloween. It's like a point of view type of shot.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and that's supposed to be Michael Myers when he's 6 years old. A couple things. One is if you look real closely on the porch at the beginning of the scene, you'll see the electrical cables on the porch for this
Really?
to shoot. Oh yeah, you can see them. The other thing is that whole scene was done in one take, where he walks up to the house, goes in the house, goes up the stairs or wherever he goes, or he goes into the kitchen, and they didn't want to use the kid to do the knife, so they used Deborah Hill because her hands were the producer and writer. She had small hands, so they used her hands. But it was all all the way up until the stabbing, and then after that, it was all one take. And it was a camera that he kind of invented that you put it on your chest so that it moved around like a point of view type of thing. He was like one of the first guys to do that. The brilliant guy.
Wow.
I mean, brilliant guy. So I was very, very fortunate. That's for sure. Blessed. Yeah.
Everything I've ever read about John Carpenter is nothing but praise over his just complete.
Yeah, great guy
he has
too.
Such an amazing insight. Yeah.
Yeah, great guy, really nice guy. Yeah.
Very personable. Ben Dragon says, that's why I love South Para Comic Con, is because there's a wide variety of horror, paranormal people to talk to and listen to their stories. It's true. We have a big variety of that. But what we're talking about here is just, I mean, it's hard to envision that movie that we've all just been crazy about for all these years, and then we sit here and we talk to the person that portrayed this individual in that movie. And it's just so fascinating to hear those behind the scenes stories about how it happened, how it occurred, how this got, filmed and all that. That to me is just almost more fascinating than the movie itself.
Yeah.
Is those
And
you
remember the leaves blowing around in the street and stuff like that?
Yes.
Those are fake leaves painted brown. They look like fall. And they had a fan. And all the cast would help pick them up after they cut the scene, pick them up and put them in bags. Yeah. I'm not kidding you. And if you watch the movie again closely, at the end, after I go off the balcony, well, I didn't, but the stunt guy did. He said, I shot him 6 times. Well, no, he shot me 7 times. He shoots me once at the top of the stairs, the hallway right there, and then 6 more times in the bedroom. But it's a 6-shooter. It's a 38. It only holds 6 bullets. And the other cool thing is this. The kid that played Michael Myers at 6 years old, his name is Will Sandin. Him and I, to the end of the earth, to the end of days, we are the only 2 that get the credit as Michael Myers. Everybody else is the Shape. And it's in the bylaws of the franchise that nobody can be called Michael Myers or get credit as Michael Myers in one of the movies, except for Will and me.
Oh,
So that's why.
fabulous.
Yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of people go, "Oh yeah, you played the Shape," and I'm like, "No, I didn't play the Shape. I played Michael Myers." I mean, it's kind of confusing to some people, but it's just that's how it is. That's how it is. Pretty cool.
That's interesting. That is very cool. That's very cool. And it's nice how it sets you above the rest.
It's really, really, really nice. Yeah, really nice. And so anyways, a lot of times they call the other ones Michael Myers, but they're not. They're the Shape. If you look at every credit of any Halloween movie, it's the Shape. Except for Rob Zombie's, maybe, but I didn't see his movie, so I wasn't interested in watching it. But I'm a big fan of his, but just not that movie. So I don't know what Tyler Mane was called. I don't know if he was called The Shape or Michael Myers or not. I have no idea. But
I wasn't even aware of that until you just brought it up.
Yeah, all you have to do is watch any.
Of course, now.
Yeah. All you have to do is watch any Halloween movies, and they're all, even the brand new ones. It's all the Shape. And there's Halloween.
Key in on every one of them.
That's right. There's Halloween fan page I saw, because I'm not on Facebook or Instagram very much at all, hardly at all anymore, because I find it just irritating. But there was one I ran into by accident. It was a Halloween fan page, and they're going, "Hail to the guy that did the last 3 Halloween movies as the new Michael Myers." And I'm like, man, these people just don't get it. I mean, they just don't understand, because he didn't get the credit as Michael Myers; he gets the credit as the Shape. But anyways, I'm a little stickler about that.
No, rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Well, it's like I tell people sometimes, not very much, but sometimes I say, fans, and I go, well, let me put it to you this way: why I didn't see the Rob Zombie movie, I say to them, I go, think of it this way: think if somebody came to you and said, we're gonna make a movie of you. We're not going to use you though, and we're going to change your name, and we're going to create all this weird, untrue stuff, and make a movie. How would they feel? You know what I mean?
Yeah, not a big incentive there.
No, that's how I view it.
Yeah.
But everybody on the set was terrific. Everybody was really nice, terrific. I mean, just the best set I've ever been on, probably.
On the Halloween, the original Halloween one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because people always want to know, how is it working with Jamie Lee Curtis? How is it working with John Carpenter and all that? But the most down-to-earth people you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah.
Not affected by who they are or anything. Not even Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, I've always thought the world of her anyway. I've always thought she was fabulous.
She is.
And John Carpenter is like, I mean, he's otherworldly. He's just amazing.
Yeah, he's a god.
But Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah, he is. He truly is.
Yeah.
And but Jamie Lee Curtis, she seems real down to earth.
She was.
So I'm glad to hear that I'm glad to hear that she is, in actuality, the way that she portrays herself on the screen.
Oh yeah,
it's so refreshing to hear.
Oh yeah,
that's
just
really
one of the gang. Yeah, she was just like one of the gang.
Wow, that's very, very cool.
Not impressed with herself one bit.
Well, everybody else is. That's for sure.
No ego, no nothing like that. Yeah.
So, what else, when you did your movie, the Halloween movie, did you progress on to other things after that? Because you've
Yeah,
done
I did.
other things as well.
Like I said earlier, I did a lot of TV. I did so much TV on the popular episodic series back then that I was starting to get recognized when I'd go out in public. That's how much I did. I was working all the time. But like I did at Chips, right? And I could not stand Eric Estrada. I worked on that show for 5 days, and he didn't say or look at me once. And I had scenes with him.
Really?
Oh yeah, just a complete a-hole, you know. And but he got his. He got blacklisted from Hollywood way back when, because he's such a jerk. So, anyways, they asked me to take over Larry Wilcox's part, and my agent called me up all excited. Hey, they want you to take over Larry Wilcox's part because he's quitting. I said, no thanks. I said, no thanks. I'm not working. I'm not working with Eric Estrada. You know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all I would be doing is whoring myself out. Is all I would have been doing. You know.
Well, I can understand that.
I just don't do that. Yeah. Well, it was a stupid series, and he's an idiot. Just a complete dirty guy, just dirty. And there's no, I'd be completely unhappy, you know. So I thought, no, I'm not doing it. My agent was like, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding!" I said, "Nope, I'm not kidding. I'm not doing it." She was heartbroken. Because she would have made good. What's that?
Is this the same agent that had to convince you to do Halloween?
Yeah. I was with her for years.
She should have known better.
Yeah, she should have, huh?
She should have.
Yeah, she was great. She was great, though. She was good. Yeah. But anyways.
What other than Halloween, which we know is number one, hands down. Some of the other work that you've done, what are some of the other stuff that you've done that you feel is memorable for yourself?
I did a movie called W.E.B.B back in 2007, and I was a producer on the movie also. And I'm pretty proud of that. I pulled in my friends, Tony Todd, PJ Souls, and Michael Berryman. And they kind of did a favor for me for being in the movie. Because I'm close friends with them. Well, Tony's dead now. He died of cancer. So, I don't know if you know who he is, but he played Candyman.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see the movie?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah, tall black guy. Yeah, deep voice. Yeah, so I pulled him in, and Michael Berryman, Hills Have Eyes, and PJ Souls, and it turned out to be a very, very good movie, and I won an award for best actor over Robert Englund at a New Jersey Massachusetts film festival. So I'm pretty proud of that one.
That's not small potatoes. They're winning over him.
No, I know. Well, I love to act. Yeah. I love to act. I just can't stand Hollywood. I just refuse to deal with Hollywood.
It's a tough crowd out there.
Yeah. It is. When they start doing all the reboots of Halloween, it's a funny story. But it's pure Tony. It's pure me. So there was this. I had an agent, and I didn't need an agent, nor did I really want one. But she just really wanted to be my agent. And I said, okay, whatever. But I'm not going on interviews. If somebody wants me, they can offer me a part and money, and that's about it. Because I'm not going into audition or read or anything. It's just not going to happen. And there's plenty of footage for them to see if I can act or not. Okay, I'm good. I'm a good actor. So anyway, so she calls me up and she goes, hey, you've heard about the reboots of Halloween, right? I go, yeah, I've heard them. And I think I saw the first one in 2018 or something like that. And she goes, yeah, they got this other one, this last one called Halloween Kills. And I said, oh yeah. She says, yeah. She goes, they want to use your footage from Halloween 1 and put it in Halloween Kills. I said, no kidding. She says, no. I said, well, how much do they want to pay me? She goes, well, okay, so here's the deal, Tony. They really don't really want to pay you. They want to use the footage, but they don't really want to pay you. I said, okay. I said, that's all right. I said, how about the credit? She goes, well, you see, they don't really want to give you a credit either. And I said, okay, that's not a problem. I said, here's what I want you to do. And this is the honest to God truth, because I'm wild. So I said to her, I said, it's no big deal. What I want you to do is I want you to call them back and tell them to go F themselves. And tell them that you're not saying that, but Tony told me to tell you that. I swear to God. So about a week and a half later, she calls me back up and she goes, hey. I go, hey. She goes, you know that Halloween Kills thing? I go, yeah. She goes, well, they want to pay you. I go, they do? She goes, yeah. I go, how much? She goes, it's a true story. She tells me the amount. I go, okay, that's cool. I said, what about the credit? She goes, well, see, here's the deal. They don't want to give you the credit still. And I said, okay, that's not a problem. I want you to do the exact same thing you did the first time. I want you to call them up and say that I said for you to say this to them. Because really all you have to do in Hollywood is bitch slap them and they'll do anything you want. I swear to God, they're like masochists, you know?
I remember that.
So she did. She did. 2 times she did it. She called me back within about a week or so. It was happening really quickly because they're starting, they already were in pre-production. And she goes, okay, here's the deal. They're going to pay you. I go, same amount? She goes, yeah. I go, okay, that's cool. That amount's fine by me. I said, what about the credit? She goes, well, and she starts cracking up, laughing hysterically. I said, what's so funny? What's so funny? She goes, you're never going to believe this. I go, okay, well, what? She goes, the credit they're giving you is special thanks to Tony Moran. All you gotta do is bitch slap these people, man. That's all you gotta do is bitch slap them.
And they come back and thank you for it.
And I got a higher credit than a family member that owns the franchise. It's funny shit, huh?
That's funny.
I know. I'm filled with stories. I got stories that I can't even remember all of them, but I got them. I got some great stories in my life. So, anyways, that's how that happened. And I never saw Halloween Kills. I saw the first one. I didn't care about the other two. And yeah, that's how that happened.
Oh my God, that's funny.
I know. And the guy that they got to play the Shape in the last 3, the reboots, if you look closely, he resembles me. He's got a shaved head. He's got his face is shaped the same way, kind of, And I mean, yeah. And I even said it to my girlfriend. I said, look at this picture. She goes, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I said, nope. I swear to God, they wanted to find somebody that looked closely like me at an older age, and they found this guy, this stunt guy.
With an angelic face.
Well, he didn't have an angelic face like I do. I own that. I own that throne. I own that throne. In case they want to do like a really, really quick shot of the side of his face or whatever, that's like, oh, wouldn't that be cool if it kind of looked like Tony? And they did. That's what they did. That's what they did.
Wow.
So whatever,
But that's still, I mean, that's a nod to you.
Of course.
Even in that, that's a nod to you.
Of course.
So that's
really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there was six people that put that mask on in that movie.
In that one movie?
In Halloween. The first one.
Halloween.
The first one. Because here's the thing about independent movies. It's all really fast. It's really rushed. They have no money, and they just go, "Hey, just put the mask on and go across the street and just stand there. We're gonna get a shot of you." Like there's a shot of the shape across the street, and on the sidewalk, and Jamie Lee Curtis looks outside the window, and it's at night, and she sees the shape across the street on the sidewalk. Right?
Yeah.
Well, that was Deborah Hill. That was Deborah Hill. And then the closet scene with the hanger.
Yes.
Okay, that wasn't me. That wasn't Nick Castle. That was Tommy Lee Wallace. Tommy Lee Wallace was the editor and set decorator. And the reason why they used him to do that scene is because the closet doors were wood slats. And if they had to do more than one take, he knew exactly where to punch it so they could save money on replacing those wood slats. I'm not kidding you. That's a true story. He told me that story himself. Then, I know, it's great, isn't it? It's stuff of legend. It's stuff of legend. I'm not kidding you. So then, also how the mask came about. So John Carpenter goes to Tommy and goes, "Hey Tommy, can you go into Hollywood, the costume stores and Halloween stores, and try to find something?" They knew they didn't want a Frankenstein or Wolfman or anything like that. But they didn't know what they wanted. They just didn't know. Now, I could have sworn there was two masks. I don't know. Maybe there's only one. I'm not sure, but I could have sworn there was two. But anyways, so he goes down there, going through the costume stores and Halloween stores, and he told me the story. And he goes, I got in the store and I saw this one mask, and he goes, man, because he's a hippie. Tommy Lee Wallace is really an old hippie. And you can tell he's done some acid, maybe, So anyways, so he looks at it and he goes, Tony, I looked at that and I looked at it and I looked at it, and he goes, and I just tripped because there was nothing to it. No features, no nothing. I said, no kidding. He goes, yeah, and plus they're only $1.89 a piece. That's funny, isn't it?
Well, you did have a budget.
Well, you see, what a lot of people don't understand is that really the whole crew they were just having fun. They weren't taking the movie seriously. We were all just having fun, especially the crew. They didn't have any expectations. They were just having a blast. But he had a great story, because the thing that separates Halloween from all the other horror movies is that it actually really could happen. A kid that killed his sister when he was 6 years old could break out after 15 years of Halloween. It could happen. It could happen.
Very easily. Very easily.
Yeah. That's what sets that movie apart. Yeah. Crazy stuff.
I bet there was a lot of families looking at their 6-year-old son differently after that.
Yeah, probably, huh?
Have you been watching little Tommy? He looks very unhappy.
Yeah.
I am a ball and a bat.
Yeah.
Out that. Oh, this has really been so much fun. I really appreciated it.
Oh, good. Me too.
I can't wait to sit down and talk to you when we when we were at the con together.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, after the con
This
is
has
done,
just been
probably.
absolutely weird.
You know, probably after the con is done, because I'm pretty popular,
And I can understand why. I mean,
and that's
you're very
not a
easy to talk to.
yeah, that's not a braggart thing. It's just a fact. It's just, yeah, I'm just a homie. Is all I am, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Oh
just a
no,
homie.
you're very easy to talk to. You really
Yeah.
are. I want to remind everybody, Deep South Paracomic-Con. It's all one word. DeepSouthParacomic-Con.com. And the con's going to be on the August the 9th and the 10th at Ozark, Alabama, at the Ozark Civic Center.
And we're gonna have a great time.
We are. We're going to have a great time.
Yep.
Through all the years, we've kind of gotten it to where it's kind of like a big family reunion of the people who go like every year. We've all gotten to be like a family. And
My cat. She's being a real pain in the neck.
neck.
Anyways, yeah, she's jumping on the counter, knocking stuff over and stuff.
That's
She
what cats do.
She probably wants attention. Where are you? Did I lose you?
Are you there? Tony is in a holding pattern right now. What's going on? I think his cat might have done something.
There we go. Okay, you got me back?
There you are. There you are. I got a cat, but she's only got 3 legs.
Oh.
Let me tell you. Yeah. Found her in the middle of the street at 4 months old. A car had hit her and ripped off her front leg.
Oh my gosh.
She'll fit right in. Yeah, she'll fit right in here. Took
Yeah,
her down to the vet, got her all better. She's great.
Yeah, I've got 2 cats. Yeah. And when I got her, she was just a very small baby, and she had a big old wound on her leg and paw. And I think it might have been from a hawk or something like that. But my ex-friend, he's a cop. He sent me a video of this kitty before I had the kitty. And it was tiny. Peach was tiny. And he took a video, and the video is you see my little kitty come out of the bushes and to an asphalt street at the airport. South Bend International. And she actually, when she got out of the bushes, she actually looks both ways to make sure that she's not going to get hit by a car or something. It's unbelievable. And my ex-friend, the cop, his job, what he's supposed to do is any animal, doesn't matter what it is, if it's on the property of the airport, he's supposed to shoot it and kill it. But he didn't.
Oh my God!
And he had his partner go get a box, and his wife works at a vet, and they patched her up. And I had something of theirs that I was bringing back to their house that I borrowed or something, and they live in a cul-de-sac, and so Betty, the wife, was behind their house at a neighbor's house, and I saw her, and I said, "I'll be right over there," So I drop it off and walk over there, and she's got this little orange kitty in her arms, and the whole leg is bandaged because it was really a bad gash, really bad, and she's holding, and I sit down on this retaining wall type thing on the patio. And Betty goes, "You want to hold her?" And I said, "Sure, yeah." So I wasn't looking for another cat. I wasn't looking. Mm-hmm. And she gave me the cat, and I shit you not, this is the honest God truth. This cat looked me dead in the eyes and would not take her eyes off of my eyes. She was like she was looking straight through me. She stared at me in my eyes for the longest period, and then I just turned to Betty. I said, "She's mine." She's okay. And that's how I got her. My girlfriend was really scared. My girlfriend was really scared that my older cat, Pumpkin, they wouldn't get along. I said, no. I said, you wait. These two cats are going to become the best of friends. You watch. And sure enough, they are. They're inseparable. They love each other.
That's so
Yeah.
They're very social.
Yeah, I can have a cat, but I can't have a dog because they travel too much.
That's true.
A dog needs more maintenance than a cat. What's that?
You're saying that? Teresa was just saying that still accepting applications for volunteers at our horror house, and she's just putting a hint out there. She says we don't have a Mike Myers yet.
Well, it's actually Michael Myers. Mike Myers is the actor. Mike Myers is the actor that was in. He did Wayne's World and all. Yeah, that's Mike Myers. He's Canadian.
Mike Myers.
Michael Myers is the character's name, not Mike.
It's Michael Myers, Teresa.
That's right.
Well, we don't have a Michael Myers. She says, "Oh, okay." Oh my gosh. Well, it's just coming up here in what, 3 weeks? Yeah.
Something like that.
It's about 1 month. Something like that. Yeah, it's like 4 weeks away. Oh, it's coming up really quick. So
yeah.
Tony's going to be there. You guys out there. I know, me either. So you guys out there, come on down and meet Tony. I mean, he's a lot of fun, so easy to talk to. Great things that he says. I mean, it's a great time. So come on down and meet Tony and take a look at the con, see what's going on. Lots of things, lots of guests. And we'd sure love to see you guys there. So
Me too. Yes. If anybody comes and remembers what I say just now, tell that they can bring up a story that I was actually an altar boy because I was brought up Catholic and had to go to Catholic school. And I went there for 8 years. Well, almost 8 years. I got kicked out in March before I graduated after 8 years. And that's a funny story too. But anyways, I don't know why I don't know why my parents thought I should, go to a Catholic school. I was not, and they gave them permission for corporal punishment to beat the crap out of me, So I was getting the crap kicked out of me by my dad at home, and then I'd go to school and get the same shit, And yeah, I know, yeah. But my dad was, it's funny, kind of, but not really. But he was brutal to me. I mean, stories that would make you cry. So I wouldn't tell you those stories. But I couldn't believe, it's just like, you got to be out of your mind sending me to a Catholic school. You got to be out of your mind. But anyways,
leave the room.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Tony, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. I would love to have you on the show some more. Everybody out there, Mr. Tony Moran, Michael Myers himself will be at the Deep South Paracomic-Con on August the 8th. On August the 9th and the 10th in Ozark, Alabama, at the Ozark Civic Center.
Can't wait to see everybody.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Tony, I know.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We can't wait to see you there. No, thank you for coming. Are you kidding? I've really enjoyed it. And I know everybody else has too.
Cool.
So everybody out there, we'll see you on Tuesday at 7:00. Everybody have a great week. Thanks again, Tony.
Thank you very much. Good night. Good night, guys.